America, it's time for some straight talk. You love your phone. Look at you. You hardly put it down. But you don't love that expensive wireless plan, do you? So what if I told you can keep that phone network and number 2 for a lot less? Well, this is me telling you, it's time to switch to Straight Talk, guys. Bring your own phone and get unlimited plans starting at just $45 a month on America's largest, most dependable 4G LTE networks. Straight Talk Wireless, only at Walmart.
Savings may vary. Please refer always to the latest terms and conditions of service at straighttalk.com.
Here we are, Mike and Mike, presented by Progressive Insurance. Our guests on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. That's another one of my brilliant ideas.
Oh, boy.
That will be ignored. This 3-on-3 basketball that they've put into the Olympics, which is great. I think it's great that they have. You know, it's got to be deliriously happy.
I have not heard. Is it going to be NBA players?
No, I'm sure it isn't going to be NBA players because the NBA players, well, they're playing in the actual basketball part of the Olympics. You could do it.
Could do it with guys that don't make the Olympic basketball team.
I guess that's true.
They could be 3-on-3.
Well, they have this 3-on-3 league, right, that Ice Cube and Amy Trask are doing. So I wonder those guys are. The majority of that league, to my understanding, is going to be former players like Iverson and guys like that. But
as Bomani said, there's plenty of ballers out there who aren't in the NBA that could put on a show on 3-on-3.
Yeah. What would you put? Who else would you? I mean, now that I think about it,
you have a big tryout. I mean, I don't know.
You're just opening it up.
If
you're
going non-NBA, you're kind of opening it up to.
Or are you doing former players? I mean, would you want to get an audience? And they're doing it right. I mean, this Big 3 thing they're doing, I think, is a really smart thing.
Get former players, just make sure they all sign the release form.
Right, but you get Iverson out there. I mean, I want to see that.
Oh, in a heartbeat.
You know, and you could have it bracketed by age group. So, like, I'd like to see Dr. J. Now, Dr. J has got to be 60-something years old now, so he's not going to be playing against guys who just retired.
No.
But if you had an all 60, guys who are over 60. I'd love to see that.
Over 63-on-3?
I'd watch that. If that's Julius Erving and it's Elvin Hayes.
I'd watch that, and there better be a whole lot of medical staff there watching that.
I'd like to watch it.
On ice bags.
Anyway, but to go back to my previous point, put the 3-on-3 in the Winter Olympics.
Yeah.
They got to put stuff in the winter. The Winter Olympics have 1/3 the events the Summer Olympics.
I would agree.
Do.
I mean, but all the events are on ice or snow in the Winter Olympics. Is that some steadfast rule that's written somewhere?
Yeah, just like no professionals shall be in the Olympics. Wasn't that a steadfast rule once upon a time?
Listen, I agree with you. I'm with you.
You could put wrestling in the Winter Olympics. I mean, all the good events are in the summer. Unless the only really huge time marketable event that people pay attention to any other time besides the Olympics is figure skating.
Yeah.
People like figure skating. There's huge fans of figure skating across the country. Skiing, which a lot of people do and a lot of people like. The average American sports fan only pays attention to that.
I agree,
Olympics.
and I think one of the coolest events, people love the luge. They love
the luge. But right, this is not an Olympic year. No one's watching luge.
I know.
There must be luging going on somewhere right now. Someone is luging, and no one is watching
what's
it.
What's always a fan favorite? Because anybody with a
broom,
could curl.
Yeah, curling.
I mean, we could
do
that.
But if they're curling right now, you're not watching it.
No, I might be.
You're not watching curling. I'm telling you right now, you're not watching curling except in the Olympics. That's the only time you're watching curling.
It's true.
People don't even watch. I was about to say good sports. People don't even watch, like, mainstream sports. Like women's professional soccer. People lose their minds in the Olympics and the Women's World Cup. They're barely scrapping together anything in a women's professional sports soccer league.
In a league, yeah.
You're not putting together a curling league. And you're not doing, with all due respect, no one's watching luging. So would it
be luging?
As opposed to what? To luge?
To luge?
What would be
to luge?
That form of that. We went out luging today.
I'd love to do that.
Playing luge, whatever it is that the term is. The only sport that people pay any attention to in the Winter Olympics that they would pay attention to other than the Olympics is figure skating.
One thing
except for like the X Games stuff, like the snowboarding.
You know what I did watch? I watched a lot of it. I don't see it on a lot more. Is downhill. I think the downhill is the craziest group out there.
Look, you go
They're
outside
nuts.
the United States, skiing is colossal.
The downhill is ridiculous. How fast they're going and what they do.
Oh,
it's crazy.
What we are not having is a discussion about how great the athletes are.
But it's not on anywhere here.
Skiing. No, it actually is, but no one watches it. No one even knows it.
When is it on?
It's on on these channels.
Again, it's on a channel I can't find.
The same places that air like the bike races and stuff like that. These things are on, but you're not watching it, and neither am I. No one is watching it. So put some sports that people otherwise watch. Yeah, today when you go home,
you're right.
When you're talking to your remote control,
skiing.
Just say skiing.
Yeah.
See what happens.
Wow. You're right. I'm going to say some other words.
Say skiing in remote control. Say, not today. It's too hot. It's 95 degrees outside.
Nuts?
But anyway, we should add. I think they should put the 3-on-3. Look, there are so many summer sporting events that do not take place outside. So there's no reason you can't do them inside and put them in the winter. Let's divvy this thing up a little bit. How about boxing? Why is boxing in the Summer Olympics? Put boxing in the Winter Olympics.
Gymnastics.
Absolutely. I think they want to keep gymnastics and figure skating separate because I think they're both similarly popular among similar audiences. But yes, to answer your point is yes, of course, gymnastics could be in the winter.
It could, yeah,
and so could swimming. Now you pointed out reasons in their
gymnastics
schedule.
These girls are younger. They're not really in college gymnastics. These are all more on the.
Men do gymnastics too.
Right. But from the swimming, the collegiate swimmers who make it to Olympic teams, I'd have to see a whole Olympic team. I'm trying to rattle it off in my head. Some take years off of college on a Olympic year. So I guess feasibly.
The most famous male swimmers last year were Phelps and Lochte, and both of them are out of college.
Katie Ledecky took her year off of school. She because of the timing. She delayed going to school 1 year because it was an Olympic year, and then she was a freshman last year.
Well, I believe two of the swimmers are at Stanford. And, they're all
there are
of them in college.
Reason I say that, and collegiate swimming is 25 yards at short course, and Olympic.
All right, so take swimming out of it.
Yeah.
But there's a million wrestling. Your favorite sport in the world. Yeah. It's all indoors. You could do that in the winter, and frankly, it'll get more attention. Pardon me. More people will pay attention to the wrestling in the winter. Because there are just fewer things going on. Yeah,
and I don't think there's many on the Olympic team, many collegiate wrestlers. I know Kyle Snyder is still wrestling in college.
But are they different disciplines?
Yes.
Oh, they are.
Collegiate wrestling is different than Olympic
wrestling.
Olympic wrestling is all freestyle wrestling. Freestyle, which is a lot of takedowns and stuff, and not a lot of mat wrestling. Greco-Roman is all upper body wrestling.
How about weightlifting?
Well. And weightlifting.
Why couldn't you do that in the winter? It's a gym. You're not doing that outside, are you? We're not going to Venice Beach, right? They're doing it in some gym.
Only one way to clean and jerk.
But what does that have to do with this conversation? Anyway, the point that I'm making here is that you could do a lot of different things anywhere you want to do them. And you could put them inside and put them in the winter.
I agree with you.
3-on-3 basketball is the first place that we should do
I agree with you. I think you could shift some things over to the winter to make it better.
So let's go from there. All right, let's go through the busy day in sports. Let's do off the top. We got so sidetracked.
I'm going to let that one go today.
All I wanted to say was they should put the 3-on-3 tournament in the Winter Olympics.
And boy, where we went.
All right, Penguins wound up winning the Stanley Cup. Oh, by the way, the Penguins won the Stanley Cup last night, beating the Predators 2-0. Congratulations to the Pens. Congratulations to Sidney Crosby. All that is fabulous. But there is a hugely controversial missed call that gets made that costs Nashville a goal. It's the second time it happened in this series. And, everyone was very gentlemanly about it afterwards and whatnot. But the truth of the matter is that absolutely goes a long way towards deciding the game.
It was first minute of the second period, a shot on Murray off to Murray's right side, and the referee, Kevin Pollock, is standing to the side, the right side of Murray, and behind him a little bit. The shot goes into Murray. He makes a stop, and the ref loses the puck. Well, the puck is dribbling on the other side of Murray, right in the blue ice, and Colton Sissons just knifes it right in. But before that happens on the replay, you can clearly hear the whistle blow. Pollock, the official, didn't see the puck, lost sight of it, so he blew the whistle. Stop play. It happens. We've talked about this happening in football. Play is dead. You can't do anything after that. I understand that. It's not reviewable because the whistle blew. I get it. It's just a bad mistake by the ref there that cost Nashville a goal.
Off the top.
Warriors will look to win a championship tonight at home. Cavs, Warriors, Game 5. You'll hear it here on ESPN Radio. You'll see it on ABC. Golic, what chance do you give Cleveland tonight?
A couple of things. First, LeBron James has the best points per game average in elimination games, 32.5 points a game in those elimination games. So you got to believe he's going to have a big game. You know what's going to be interesting to me, Greeny, after Game 4? How the refs call this game. Do they call it quick tonight? Do all of a sudden one of the top players in the first 5 minutes have 2 fouls? And you're like, oh, okay. Are we going this direction tonight?
Well, and here's the thing.
So,
if those players are on Golden State, you know what Twitter is going to say. And by Twitter, I mean everyone. Everyone's going to say, well, the league wants the series to go more games. Well, that's the conversation that will happen.
I guess the only other side I can say of that is that whole Draymond Green incident didn't help the Cavaliers. If everybody's thinking that it's fixed to make this a longer series or have Cleveland come back, the opportunity would have been for Draymond to have the 2 techs and be gone.
Of course, because that's not what's happening.
Yeah.
That isn't what's actually happening.
Right.
But it's what people think is happening, and that's a whole separate issue. The U.S., Mike, in soccer played to a draw against Mexico in a World Cup qualifier.
And I tell you what, in the last 3 times they've gone to Mexico to play, they're 1-0-2 as opposed to the 24 times before that where they were 0-23-1. So things are picking up a little bit from that regard.
There you go. Heading in the right direction. Aaron Judge. Go ahead, Golic. Give me your call. I like it.
Here come the Judge.
He has reached new heights again. This kid hit a home run yesterday, 496 feet.
Ridiculous. Again, 6'7", 282, and the most impressive thing about me is the way he plays right field, let alone swing the stick at the plate with the speed he does and the power that he gets. Unless you think he is just a power guy and that's it. He right now leads the American League in batting average, 344, home runs, 21, RBIs, 47. That, my friends, right now is a triple crown.
Off the top.
And finally, congratulations, Rafa Nadal. He finishes a 10th French Open victory. He's now won 15 slams, which is second most all time behind only Federer, so he breaks a tie for second with Sampras. He has won 10 French Opens. He did it for the 3rd time this year without dropping a single set. He is as dominant in that event pretty much as anyone has ever been in anything.
That's what we started listing as athletes who are dominant in their certain sport for a certain time frame, and he is right there with the best of them. He absolutely owns clay.
And that, my friends, is Off the Top, which is presented by Progressive Insurance. Pick from a range of coverage options with the Name Your Price tool to find a price that works for you. I have something that I think we could describe as at least minor breaking news.
Okay.
And, of course, I wasn't here last week, Mike, and thanks, Trey, and Adnan, everyone else who was. I'm sure you guys talked a fair amount about Odell Beckham
yes,
and
we
not
did.
being present at camp. Josina Anderson tweeted 8 minutes ago, wide receiver Odell Beckham is currently at the team facility. Physicals are today. So he's there.
Well, what I don't know is I don't know every team. Is there mandatory minicamp going on? I mean, he said he was going to that.
I believe that's not until
See,
let's find that out. Let's find that out.
We'll find that out.
I was reading all about this last week.
Because Odell was going to go to the minicamp because
Right.
he cannot be at the OTAs. He's not going to get fined. If he doesn't go to the minicamp, he'll be fined. So if he doesn't want to lose some money, he would show up at the mandatory minicamp. I don't know where they are.
We'll find that out. Give me 30 seconds because I wasn't here last week. Give me your 30-second take on the Odell thing.
Oh, listen, you get the only leverage a player has is to say I'm not going to give my services to you. And you do that when you have the biggest leverage hammer that you have. And Odell has that right now. I have no issue. For in a sport where they all know exactly what's going on, that you can sign a 5-year deal and be cut after 2 years, or you can try and get more money after 2 years. So both sides can try and rearrange this thing well before the end of the contract. So what you look for is leverage. When do you have the most leverage? Odell Beckham Jr. has unbelievable leverage right now. And the New York Giants, and I'm sure they will, they want him on their team, are going to try and work it out. Now, you obviously have a cap and you have to work out a lot of different things. But, do you do kind of a deal in between a deal to kind of make him happy now? Didn't they do that with Antonio Brown before they gave him the big deal that he got?
Yes, they did. Correct.
So do you do something like that to appease him? Because you want this guy on your team, and you want this guy on your team long term. So I don't blame him for doing what he's doing right now. Because you have the leverage hammer. So swing it.
We actually have a little more of a story here. Wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. has arrived at the Giants team facility Monday, one day before a mandatory minicamp is set to begin. The players undergo physicals today. He had skipped the OTAs over the past month in part to indicate his desire for a new contract. Sources told our Adam Schefter he's scheduled to make $1.8 million this year under the terms of his rookie contract. Odell also posted an Instagram video early today that included the hashtag I'm back. I pulled this out of a column by Gary Myers, who covers football for the New York Daily News and has forever. I pulled this out of his column yesterday on the subject of Odell. I just lost it here for a second. Hold on, I'll find it.
Go ahead, find it while you're saying that. So to me, this isn't really huge news. The expectation was
Correct.
He was going to be at mandatory minicamp, so he's there.
Here's what he wrote on the subject of Odell getting a new contract or not. The Giants have a history of not backing down. They dug in on Hall of Famer Lawrence Taylor in 1990. They dug in on Michael Strahan in 2007. Each of whom held out until 1 week before the season began. He writes, I don't think the Giants will let Beckham bully or pressure them. He is no more important to them this year than LT was in 1990 or Strahan in 07. By the way, those holdouts were not a distraction. The Giants won the Super Bowl each year.
Listen, just as I said, Odell Beckham, as a player, you swing that a hammer of leverage when it's the heaviest, and right now it's pretty heavy for him.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean the team has to blink, because what is the team banking on? The team at the end of the day going to sit there and say, is he going to sit out the whole year?
Right.
Is he truly going to miss the entire season? And for the most part, 99.9, because it has happened, 99.999% of the time, it won't. And the player will come back and will play. Now, what you do, and they can basically have him for 3 more seasons. This year, they picked up his option for the 5th year, and then they could franchise tag him. So you could basically, and then know you've ticked him off so much that after that time, there's no way he'll sign back with you again. But you can technically have him for 3 more years unless he decides he doesn't want to play. And that's the leverage hammer for the Giants. Is for the most part, guys are not going to sit out the entire season. So in a game of blink, most of the time, if not just about all the time, the player will blink because the player is not going to miss an entire season.
Would you sign him? Would you rip up
yes,
his contract?
If I were the Giants, I would try and work it out. If not, if it's a cap thing, sit down with him, appease him how you can, and say, we're going to get this done, but this is kind of how we have to do it. Yes, I would work with him, and I would do it. I think he's that good.
I do too.
Are you worrying about the off-field things? What off-field things are we talking about? I mean, he's not the only one who played bad in the Green Bay game. I know everybody's going to talk about going down in the boat and doing his thing. I don't think it was the brightest move of all time. Myself, but he's not the only one who didn't play well. The antics, I'll continue to say with the net and all that, and I'll continue to say this. When you see the antics with the net, watch all his teammates going to the sideline. No one even gives him attention on that because they know that's what he does. He needs to not cost them 15 yards by taking his helmet off when he knows damn well that's a penalty. That's where he needs to mature, is to know, I don't care what I just did, don't take my helmet off and don't get myself in a position to be suspended so I'm not helping my team. That's the maturity rate that he needs to get to there. But if I'm them, absolutely, I'm trying to work it out with him so he is my receiver for a while.
I totally agree with you. The things that he does that worry you, that might give you pause about hitching your wagon to him for the long haul, are of the comparatively minor variety, and almost all of them feel as though they are things that with a little more emotional maturity, he's still an incredibly young man, might get smoothed over a little bit. He's always going to be demonstrative, but he does not seem to be one who tears the team apart. The comparison I would make is Terrell Owens, who never got in any trouble off the field.
No, he did not.
He did all sorts of crazy things, and he because of contract stuff, really, he created some divisiveness, certainly in Philadelphia. Mm-hmm. But I would too. I would, one way or another, I'd make sure I don't lose that guy. Odell Beckham is one of the truly special players in the
Again,
NFL.
I don't know if they can just lay down all that money right now, but that's something you talk with him about. Like I said, maybe it's an Antonio Brown type appeasing deal until you can get him the big deal as well. So, but I would definitely be trying to work that out.
By comparison, if you want to, Julio Jones got his big deal going into his 5th season. Odell is currently going into his 4th season. So you tell him, listen, give us one more year like you did, another 110 catches and 14 touchdowns, and just be the most dynamic player on the team in the league.
Certainly do that.
We'll take care of you. Plus, he got a ton of money. Not that this should have anything to do with it.
It should not.
But he got a huge, endorsement deal during the offseason.
That should have nothing to do with his deal with the Giants.
It doesn't, except that it puts him in a position where
that adds
he's got a lot of money.
Now you're talking about if you're sitting out the year, he would have been getting paid almost 3 times as much by Nike this year as he would for his contract.
He will be.
Yeah.
I mean, that's going to happen if they don't redo the deal.
Guys don't really talk about antiperspirant. Despite that, 91% of Dove Men Plus Care users recommend it. Here's what they said.
It blocks the, perspiration, I think is the fancy word.
It's comfortable. It smells nice. My girl likes the smell.
Well, it's hard.
I think it's quite masculine. My underarms aren't the worst thing at the gym.
It's kind of like the Hoover Dam from my armpits, I guess.
Dove Men Plus Care Antiperspirant. Tough on sweat, not on skin.
Hey everyone, Mike Golic here. Support for the Mike and Mike podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Chances are you're confident when it comes to your work, your hobbies, your life. Rocket Mortgage gives you that same level of confidence when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan. Rocket Mortgage is simple, allowing you to fully understand all the details and be confident you're getting the right mortgage for you. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Mikes. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, NMLS, consumeraccess.org number 3030.
All right, obviously we're ready to talk about the finals here tonight, Game 5 at Golden State, as we bring in our friend Marc Spears from The Undefeated. But, Mark, I see a note here that says you've been in L.A. interviewing De'Aaron Fox, and I would love to just get a quick thought on that from you, if you will. The more people I talk to, and, of course, all of us saw what happened when he played head-to-head against Lonzo in the NCAA tournament, but I've talked to a lot of people who are extraordinarily high on Fox and wonder if in the big picture he isn't the better prospect than Lonzo Ball. What sense did you get from him, and what sense are you getting from people around him about the expectation for Fox in this draft?
When you bring up Ball, he kind of tosses away from that. Doesn't really want to talk about it. He wants to do things on his own merit. He's an extremely competitive kid. I was actually visiting with him at a EA video game thing, and he wants to win in everything. If he doesn't win, he wants to do it again. I was very impressed by his competitiveness. I also think he wants to be somewhere where he could come in and play. He's also working out with Philly later this week, but I don't know that a Boston with all their guards or a Phoenix with all their guards is attractive. But I think if he could get to the Lakers, get to Philly, or even get to Sacramento, which he was excited about, he'd be fine. He doesn't really worry about whether he's 1, 2, or 3, but he will tell you he thinks he's the best player in this draft. And
you have Markelle Fultz. You have him going to work out for Sacramento, worked out for Boston. So with Sacramento, they have the 5 and 10 pick, I believe. Could something be going on there? Do you expect, when we get down to the draft, do you expect some surprises?
The only reason folks could be working out with Sacramento is they got to be trying to move up. And when I talk to Fox about Sacramento, I know a lot of people are like, why would somebody want to go there? Well, one, Scott Perry has kind of righted the ship. 2, there's a golden opportunity to walk in and start at point guard. So for these young kids in this point guard heavy draft, Sacramento suddenly becomes, a very exciting place to go because you walk in and get the keys, where a couple other places in the top 5, Phoenix and Boston, such wouldn't be the case. So, Folks' thing is interesting. I know he's kind of getting beat up a little bit. People question whether he's super competitive. He didn't win a lot of games at Washington. But this is going to be a point guard draft that we'll remember for a long, long time. There's several other guys, like the kid from North Carolina State, too, that have a chance to be special.
All right, Mike and Mike, so we'll look forward to that. That's actually rapidly creeping up on us, but first things first, we have the business of the Warriors trying to put this thing away tonight. Well, from what we saw on Friday night, the torrid shooting of the Cavs, especially in that first half, is there anything that you saw there that you think they could bottle and bring with them to tonight's Game 5? Do you think Cleveland can pull off something similar to what they did the other night and extend this thing?
I think they could pull off something similar from an effort standpoint. Now Korver showed up and Irving's well oiled now, and Tristan Thompson started rebounding. But I don't know if you could match what perhaps is the greatest offensive and shooting night in the history of the NBA Finals. I mean, I thought I was watching, it was at the video game thing yesterday. I thought I was there Friday. I mean, they were hitting everything. And one thing Draymond Green said after the game was, he said they scored a lot of points and beat us up pretty bad, but he said he never felt like they were out of the game, like they had a chance to win it. So he said, let's see if they could do it again. And typically, as you know, role players play better when they're at home. It's going to be a crazy environment in Oakland. They had not won a championship there ever. People there are getting slightly nervous. And the Warriors, I feel like, need to get it done. To me, it's kind of a must-win for them. They don't want to go back to Cleveland. You don't want to keep giving LeBron chances. So tonight's game, Cleveland had more energy on Friday than I've ever seen there. And I expect that to be the same place in what's already a crazy environment in Oakland.
And I agree with the Golden State never seems out of it. I think the Cavs did as well. LeBron in that blowout win still played almost 41 minutes. It's like they didn't want to take him off the court. And when they did for the bit, it went from like 19 to 11, and he had to get back on the court. The one thing, Mark, that I maybe worry about in this game because of last game with the technicals and the jawing is that we get those early fouls, and all of a sudden someone in 4 minutes has 2 fouls, and the game kind of tilts that way. What are your thoughts there?
Well, I'm curious to who the crew is. When I was in the Warriors locker room Friday night and I saw a picture of the crew, I know they kind of looked at it like,
yeah.
Like, we got those guys, so I'm sure they're waiting to see who it is. The best referees are the ones that you don't notice, and I'm really hoping that they just let these guys play. That they let the basketball players determine it. And look, the referees didn't stop the Cavs from making 32 three-pointers or shooting the way they shot, So the Warriors also have to do a better job of getting their emotions in check, realizing what the bigger picture is. They got to get this title tonight in Oakland. If they don't, all of a sudden LeBron gets life again, and you don't know what's going to happen from there because I would think that if they won tonight, they would be the favorite in Cleveland in Game 6, and then, hey, it's just like last year all over again.
Marc Spears from The Undefeated with us for another moment. Just curious because we all saw it and we saw the immediate reaction to it. Any further conversation over the course of the weekend about what happened with Draymond on the second technical that all of a sudden wasn't? And did the scorer's table have it wrong? Did the refs try to sort of a strange way of correcting what might have otherwise been an embarrassing mistake? What did you hear from people around the league this weekend about the way that thing worked out?
Well, I was actually talking to some NBA people, and they're like, and I actually agree with this. If you watch the film, Kerr clearly got the technical, the first technical, and the referee points at Kerr. Now, I wonder if Callahan was trying to help out the referee, the scorer's table crew, because after the game he said it was his fault. He wasn't clear as to who he gave the technical to, and it made me wonder if somebody from the scorer's table wrongly gave that to Draymond. Man, that's an interesting story there. But he said he wasn't clear, and that's where the mistake went. But it was just a lot of weird and wild stuff. The backcourt that went through Kyrie's legs that didn't get called, and even Draymond mentioned the time when LeBron and KD were jawing at it. He said referees would usually just get in there and push them away, but he said these guys were sitting there listening to the conversation. Get in control of the game. So it was hopefully tonight there'll be a crew that just has a better control of everything and just lets them play, and there won't be any controversy we talk about after it.
We'll find out, and we'll see if tonight they crown a champion in Oakland. We're all looking forward to it. Mark, thanks so much for getting up early,
Mark.
as always. We appreciate it. All right, thank you, Mark. That's Marc Spears with us from The Undefeated, who joins us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance sign. What are you typing up on my screen right now? The names of who? Of the guys?
Is this tonight the officials?
They were just announced 2 seconds ago. So literally, do you want to throw him back on real quick to see if he can come back on and give us a take on this? They just 2 seconds ago announced the names of the officials. Call them back. But finish typing that last name first, if you would, please. I mean, you've left me with one.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got Danny Crawford, Ed Malloy, and Derek Stafford. That's the crew that was just announced for tonight's Game 5 of the NBA Finals. Danny Crawford, Ed Malloy, and Derek Stafford. I mean, those are names you certainly know. Crawford has been around a long time. I think that's a well-respected crew. I would like to hear a take from someone like Marc Spears or someone who's closer to it.
And again, the worry is, okay, they saw what happened last game. Do you try and be in control of this game right away and whistle up people early on in this game? That's in any sporting event, as I've always said, I like those first 5 to 7 minutes of how are the officials going to call this game, and what, as a player, can I think down the road during the game that I can get away with?
I'm not going to lie to you. At no point in that game did I feel it was on the verge of getting away from anybody. Under no circumstances did I think they had to call a flagrant on Kevin Love for a play where he was clearly going for the ball and then he accidentally hits him in the head. That's not a flagrant foul. Or if it meets the definition of a flagrant foul, then how the one on Draymond later wasn't even looked at the table is an absolute joke. LeBron and Kevin Love getting double technicals for where they were. Not Kevin Durant, excuse me. It's not like the two of them were about to throw punches.
No. They were just jawing.
This was nothing. This was stuff that in the NBA Finals, it feels like 15 minutes ago, would have been nothing. So I never felt like they needed desperately to get control of anything. The Pachulia punch was what it was.
Right.
Amon Shumpert was kind of on him, and he shoved him away. Did he throw a little bit of a jab in there? Yeah, I could have lived with that. Marc Spears is back with us. Mark, thanks a million. But literally, as we were hanging up with you, the crew was announced. So Danny Crawford, Ed Malloy, Derek Stafford. What's your reaction?
Oh, outside of Minnesota, I think everybody thinks Malloy is okay. That's another story for another day. Mm-hmm. Danny Crawford, Derek Stafford, pretty good refs. I like the crew. Solid.
Okay. So, and you think that will be met in the locker rooms today with a positive reaction?
Yeah, I mean, Danny Crawford's, and I believe this is going to be his swan song year, so this might be his last NBA game. He's one of the best refs of all time. Could be a Hall of Famer one day. Definitely has control. I like Danny doing the game, and Stafford's been really good for a long time. Solid crew. I don't see any drama.
Okay,
good,
very good. Mark, thanks.
Malloy's the wild card, but I think they'll be okay.
Malloy is the wild card.
Well, watching a ref as the wild card.
We'll keep a spotlight on Ed.
There's Malloy teeing somebody up.
Thank you, Mark.
Just go buy that old Minnesota tape of Malloy. You'll get a kick out of that.
All right, so we got to. I feel like I should know what he's referring to, and I don't immediately. So we'll see if we can get to that. But I'm up against a break here. Mark, thanks a million. Danny Crawford, Ed Malloy, Derek Stafford will be the officials. And again, this is one of the things that is unique about the sport. Although I think in football, most people know the main refs.
Yes.
And then they know because they keep their crews together.
Exactly.
Everyone kind of knows.
Not makeshift, yeah.
If you got Ed Hockley's crew, it means X and that
exactly
sort of thing. But we watch this stuff pretty closely in the NBA.
You're listening to Love Advice with Leanne. Caller, you're on the air.
Hi, Leanne. Longtime listener, first-time caller. Why, in your professional opinion, do you never take my calls off the air?
Is this Carl?
Yep, it's Carl. I mean, we had a few dates. Everything was great. I thought,
Well, when you switch to Geico, you could save a lot of money on car insurance.
Okay, awesome.
You should call them.
I will.
Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.
All right, a couple of big things here to clear up, because a lot of people are tweeting us and sending us in other ways the portion of the NHL rule book that stipulates what is subject to video review. And there is a circumstance in which an inadvertent whistle can be overturned, if you will, by video review. Let me read this to you here. The circumstances under which the video review process shall be permitted to assist the referees would also include situations where the referee stops play or is in the process of stopping the play because he has lost sight of the puck. Now, that happened yesterday. Yes. And it is subsequently determined by video review that the puck crosses or has crossed the goal line and enters the net as the culmination of a continuous play where the result was unaffected by the whistle, i.e. the timing of the whistle was irrelevant to the puck entering the net at the end of a continuous play. The way I read that means that if the puck had gone through the goalie and continued and trickled into the net itself, that you can wave off the inadvertent whistle. But that's not what happened. It got poked in after the fact.
It actually got poked, hit by Colton Sisson's stick after the whistle had sounded. Now, there are going to be those that say, well, it was a continuous play. He was diving for the puck. Nobody else was around. Common sense would say that was going to be a goal because there was no one around him that could have eased up hearing the whistle. That had happened almost bang, bang. The whistle was blowing, and Colton's stick was right by the puck and knocking it in the net. Now, if I remember, and I was watching the game, it just looked like the officials got together. It didn't look like it went to review. If there's a mistake, if it did, now someone needs to correct me on this if I'm wrong, but the decision was made pretty quick. And I'm glad they all got together, but it wasn't reviewed. So is there a reason it wasn't reviewed? Is it that they immediately said it wasn't continuous play because another player, in this case Colton Sissons?
I mean, I think it's clear.
I don't know that. See, that's what I don't know. Continuous play could mean, like I said, Colton was going for the puck, but as the whistle was blowing, is that continuous play? That's what I wonder, and to not at least send it to review to take a look at that, because common sense says to me that was going to be a goal whether the whistle blew or not. That nothing was stopping in that instance that from being a goal. So would the video review have been able to say, yeah, that was going to be a goal? You said no goal, we're saying goal. I don't know.
My reading of the rule is no. My reading of the rule is the determination by video has to be made that the puck crosses or has crossed the line and entered the net as the culmination of a continuous play where the result was unaffected by the whistle. That suggests to me, again, as I said,
the puck
trickles through and just went in anyway.
I see your point. I see your point.
Because now do I think he would have scored anyway? Yes. But he was sort of encumbered by a defender for a second, and then he broke himself free, and then he dove. Do we know with 1,000,000,000,000% certainty that the defender didn't hear the whistle and stop?
Listen.
I don't know that. I think you're right, but I think this does not meet the standard of the rule the way I read the rule.
If I watched that, common sense would say that was a goal. But if that's the way the rule would be interpreted, that the puck would have had to cross the line after the whistle sounded without the help of somebody hitting it, and Colton's stick clearly hit the puck after the whistle had blown. I mean, an instant, but it was after the puck, so maybe that stops it as a continuous play. And that's the only thing I can think of why they waved it off so quickly, because there is no disputing that Sisson's stick hit the puck after the whistle had blown. So I think I would agree with you.
I got news. Adam Schefter has tweeted. No, I'm sorry. That's the other day. Never mind. Why is this trending here now?
Oh, boy. Thought you had something.
No, I thought I did too. I'm sorry. That was the other day. But there was something that was trending. And I was trying to figure out why it was trending, and I stand corrected. So let's take our last minute here. First off, to remind you that if you miss anything on the program, including PJ Carlesimo and Brucey Bowen and everybody else breaking down tonight's Game 5 of the NBA Finals, that you can listen to any and all 4 hours of Mike and Mike on demand in the ESPN app. And you can subscribe there to the Best of Mike and Mike podcast. That's all available on the Listen tab of the ESPN app. Having said that, tonight, Game 5 in Golden State. Assess for me your chances that Cleveland wins this game.
I mean, I think they have a chance. I mean, listen.
Give me a percentage.
I'll say a 39% chance.
Well, that's high.
Yeah, it is.
That's way higher than I would feel.
Yeah, it is.
Listen, I hope more than anything in the world you're right.
LeBron's the most points per game in an elimination game. Need Kyrie to have another one of those games. The bench guys to make a few threes. I mean, I don't think they have to shoot what they did to win a game. Because just look at Game 3. They were winning that game, shooting well, but not that well, and just missed in the last 3 minutes. Do I think it's going to happen? Probably not, because I don't see Steph and Clay being, off the way they were. I'm hoping against all hope that it can happen, though.
Me too. I'd love to see this thing get extended regardless of who you ultimately want to win the championship. You'll see it tonight on ABC. You'll hear it on ESPN Radio. And we'll be back and better than ever tomorrow. Mike and Mike.